The Food Code requires establishments to be kept free of all pests, especially insects and rodents. Pest control to get rid of pests may be accomplished using the following practices: regular inspections of incoming shipments of food and supplies, regular inspections of the building or site for evidence of pests, removal and/or disposal of conditions that hide, conceal, or shelter pests. If pests are found, use pest control methods, that is, trapping devices, identified in the Food Code. Pest control can cost businesses thousands of dollars per year, but uncontrolled pests can stop a business entirely. Controlling pests will help to avoid such things as customer flight, lawsuits, business interruption or closure by authorities, the high cost of eradication, an unsafe product and workplace. Food premises contain practically everything pests need to survive. Food premises have food, moisture, warmth, shelter. Common pests include rats, mice, raccoons, cockroaches, flies, beetles, birds, termites, ants, and weevils. Often, other animals such as snakes, spiders, cats, and dogs may become problematic. Employees should inspect for signs of pests when they are storing food, cleaning, and removing garbage and trash. Any pest sightings should be reported immediately. The main signs of a pest problem are dead bodies, torn or damaged packaging, perhaps surrounded by spilled food, droppings, eggs, larvae, feathers, fur, or nesting material, rut marks, and rat runs. Pests cause all of the following types of contamination: biological contamination, cross-contamination, physical contamination, chemical contamination. Biological contamination. In these cases, a rat, for example, eating grains in the dry storage unit leaves droppings that carry bacteria on the food. Or the rat has been injured by a trap and bleeds onto foods while making an escape. Other pests, such as insects, may lay their eggs in food, also creating biological contamination. Cross-contamination. A cockroach crawls over several kinds of vegetables and meats, spreading various kinds of microorganisms. Or a mouse may drag a piece of meat onto another food item and leave it there. Physical contamination. A number of bugs may find their way into food items and die, or a pest may drag objects into foods. Chemical contamination. Abuse of insecticides may contaminate foods. Pest baits may be eaten and regurgitated onto foods or dragged onto foods. The potential for chemical contamination requires that rodenticide baits should only be used outdoors or in bait stations. Establishments should monitor for common pests such as rats, mice, weevils, flies, roaches, and ants, and should take immediate action if any of these contaminating pests are found on the premises. Pests cause food damage, building damage, loss of customers, and loss of business. Establishments are legally bound to eliminate pests. Therefore, maintaining an integrated pest management program, IPM, is in the best interest of any business. The best way to manage pests is to hire qualified pest control specialists. Specialists should inspect the property often, and thorough records of their visits should be kept by management. The control of pests begins with the design of the building. Buildings made with pest-resistant materials, with minimal access points and few places for pests to hide, are best. However, most buildings lack one or more of these ideals. When pests are not controlled properly, buildings become infested. An infested building could result in closure. If a building is found to be infested, you should immediately root out and treat the problem by all means necessary, physical or chemical eradication. Inspect the building and reduce pest access points and harboring areas as much as possible. Clean and sanitize all eradication-treated areas, making sure that any contaminated food is disposed of, including foods that may have been exposed to treatment accidentally. Make sure that the pest control operators' PCOs return for regular checkups. There are two ways to eradicate pests: physical and chemical. Physical methods can help eliminate small infestations and maintain good control. Physical control usually involves traps, flypapers, and bird-scaring devices. Chemical methods may be needed to eliminate major infestations. Chemical control usually involves insecticides, poison, and sometimes drugs that eliminate birds. When dealing with chemicals, it is always best to be overly cautious to ensure that codes are not being broken, instructions are being accurately followed, and no foods or food-preparing surfaces are being contaminated. Pesticide and insecticide use is best left to the PCO for safety reasons. The best prevention for pest infestations is cleanliness and vigilant monitoring and correction. If at all possible, before beginning operations, it is best to correct anything that would promote pest infestation, such as sealing off pest access points and rooting out any pests already taking up residence. Keeping things clean is the most important part of prevention. Denying pests food will stop them from coming in and multiplying. Employees should be trained to clean properly and promptly, and never to leave foods out overnight. Garbage should be disposed of properly outside of food prep and storage areas. Areas where garbage is kept are prone to infestation and should be cleaned as often as possible.
See, this is fun. Are you kidding? That is amazing.
Pest Patrol. When pests are not controlled properly, buildings become infested. Pests cause food damage, building damage, loss of customers, and loss of business. Which practices prevent pest infestation, and which contribute to pest infestation? Drag each phrase to the category where it belongs.